And the proposition that I put to us back in March, I think has become more important than ever before, which is that to summarize from this example from Cal Newport's book, is that as humans, we are not wired to be constantly wired. But that's what we found ourselves having to deal with. And this was what I said before COVID happened. Now I think it's become all the more true, is that as we've spent lots of our time doing exactly this, spending a lot of time separate from one another, we've obviously seen in the headlines and around the world the impact of what our technology consumption has done to us. As those examples we've just seen from Naji's show, there's many places where we've connected more than ever before, and we've managed to bring new generations into that connection. But at the same time, we found ourselves disconnected from one another, and the idea of Zoom fatigue, I'm sure, is something that all of you have had to deal with, or Microsoft Teams fatigue, Slack fatigue. There are many brands of fatigue available. And we are, I think, looking for a more humanized way of doing computing, a more humanized way of connecting with the internet. And what we've seen during the lockdown period is that voice as a interface, people using things like smart speakers in their homes, has risen sharply during that period. In some studies, as much as 40 to 50% increases in people purchasing devices, as well as also using them. And so we wanted to understand, what was it that people are actually doing with those devices? Not just smart speakers, but to understand the range of devices that people are using. What we want to reinforce from these findings is that voice is no longer just about a speaker, but is really an ecosystem. As more of us have obviously turned to using these types of devices in our homes, we've been then trained to be able to use voice everywhere we go, from connected headphones to using our voice via our car and on our phone far more often than previously. And obviously, with more of us wandering around with face masks on and maybe gloves on, depending where you are in the world, using a face unlockable phone has become more difficult. And we certainly don't want to be touching retail displays, screens, and all sorts of other interfaces out in the built environment. And increasingly, we're looking to touch-free, voice-enabled ways of doing that.